Evolution, a process of continuous change from a lower, simpler or worse to a higher, more complex or better state. Tracking Saint Rider feet. Signal lost. Tracking. Locking onto Saint Rider feet.
I'm Devin Walton, and I'm the North American Product Manager for Shimano. In deciding to pursue the freeride market, it was kind of a natural conclusion after looking at what's happened with mountain bikes and the segmentation of the sport. If you think back, it was only a few years ago when it seemed like an inch of suspension travel was considered extreme riding. And now we're seeing bikes that have 6 or 7 inches of travel, even more. And it's allowing riders to choose totally different terrain, and the parts really need to be built to keep up. When you compare mountain bike parts to the needs that free riders and extreme riders have, it's about as similar as comparing road parts to mountain bike parts. They're completely different, and the needs are completely different. So these are the things that we kept in mind when we decided that it was important to design something that was specifically for this type of rider. Of course, one of the big benefits that Shimano has in producing any kind of component is that there's a huge amount of R&D power behind every product that we make. It's not just trial and error where you bolt some parts to a bike and you send some guy out risking life and limb. Before a product even hits the trail, we have many engineers that are behind the thing, designing it and making sure that it's something that's close to the target to start with. But there are a lot of really neat testing stories that we have. One of the best examples of how we tested some of the components is by taking a traditional mountain bike derailleur and bolting it to a frame, painting it up, and sending a guy on the ride, the same type of riding that he would normally do, that free ride or extreme ride. At the end of the ride, you take a look at the thing and you look at where the paint's scraped off. And what you do is you either decide that you beef up that area where the paint's missing, or you remove the material so that it can't be damaged. And this is how we ended up with the ultimate shape of the Saint rear derailleur and things like the reversed cable fixing bolt, those types of things. So now you have essentially a derailleur that becomes a skid plate. It's got total armor. Certainly one of the things that we do well is taking all of our testing feedback and putting that back into the R&D section of our company. But what really starts that is something that you may be familiar with our skunk development testing crew. These guys bring decades of experience to the company and provide very critical feedback that allows us to come up with product that ultimately is going to meet the needs of every guy out there.
Howdy, my name is Paul Thomasberg, and I've been doing skunk testing with Shimano for about 15 years now. And it is my life. It's what I do for a living, and it's a wonderful job. I'm really privileged to be in this situation. I started riding in 1976 and built my first frame in 1980, and we were basically building what I would, back then was a free ride bike. We were looking at cliff drops and cruising around and trying to find lines, and it seems like it's kind of come back to that place. We basically go around the world, and we go to your town and we ride your trails, and we sample your soil, and that's what we do. It's a real world testing environment, and not only do we bring ideas into engineering, but we also take the ideas that come back from them and then test them in that real world environment. And so there's like this whole cycle that goes along there, how we pull it all together, how we develop the product. So not only are we taking like input from all kinds of places, racers and free riders and all over, and pulling that into R&D, but then we come back and bring that in back into the skunk development, and then more refinements after that.
Yeah, definitely. When the Saint cranks first came out, it was a huge performance notice for me. Basically, going from the old style XTR to the new Saint was, I can't even tell you how much more power I could feel out of the gate. Basically, the flex that I was getting before compared to now is night and day. I mean, there's not even a comparison. I run Saint cranks on every bike that I do any type of sprinting on. It's the stiffest crank that I've ever used, and it's also pretty light.
The whole new Saint derailleur system and the axle, it's kind of a non-issue now. You don't even think about having derailleur issues. If you fall, you throw your bike. You're traveling, you're putting in a bike case, bring it out. You just don't even worry about it anymore. So I think for a rider, it just gives you that confidence, knowing too that you don't have to go out and buy a new derailleur like every 3-4 months. Like last year, you can ride, every day, you can ride every day, and it's going to be there for you. So it's a bomber.
I think that the Shimano brakes in general have the best modulation of any of the brakes I've tried out there, but the Saint brakes themselves are so powerful that it's just like made a huge difference. They've stopped really quickly, and they're predictable, and it's made hand pump and things like that definitely way less of an issue in long descents.
For four-cross racing, shifting is one of the most important things, especially right out of the start to the first turn. There's a lot of load, a lot of tension, a lot of power going into the first 5, 6, 7 cranks. Out of the gate, usually a little bit easier gear, and depending on the course, sometimes it's 2 pedals, sometimes it's 4 pedals, and you're shifting gears. And that shift has to be very precise. It has to be able to withstand the power and the load that we're putting into it. And with Shimano products, never had a problem, never skip gears, never have any issues, and that's what makes me win championships.